Lost my count. Lost my count. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. What a day it's been. I felt over the last few days, United fans, some of you have been getting a little bit down in the dumps, telling you to relax, telling you to enjoy it. It's not even a week since we've won a trophy we never won and come out with Champions League football, and then the Perisic thing and the Michael Keane, and people start to get a little bit worried. And then the counterpunch happens, doesn't it, with Griezmann? We were live a few hours ago about that. If you've missed it, transfer request gone in. If that won't be officially announced by Atletico Madrid, for those who are waiting something else. And next couple of weeks, I expect him to sign for Manchester United. Bayern Munich apparently have the money to trigger the release clause. What I would say about that is, look, Bayern Munich don't have the money to release his release clause, and I'll tell you very simply why. If you follow Bayern Munich, which I wouldn't say I watch every single game, but I'm very interested in the way German football clubs are run, and I think that it should be replicated in this country a hell of a lot more. They're not big into foreign ownership, and I've got nothing against foreign ownership, but look at some of the foreign ownerships of the clubs in England. It's farcical and embarrassing. So look, Bayern Munich, the way they run is very well, but 89 million is a hell of a lot of money for them, which they probably can about afford, but they won't be able to match what we will offer him in relation to wages and stuff like that. For one player, they'd have to trigger it through the whole squad as well. He's coming to Manchester United. I thought we had a super chat then, but it got retracted, so we won't read that out. But I will come back to Griezmann, but I have done a video on Griezmann tonight, so going to drop him a little bit later because we like to do things a little bit differently on the United Stand, and sometimes on the 8:30 show at night, because remember we will be live at 8:30 every night, and obviously they've got the transfer show 7 AM every morning. I think on the 8:30 show, it's a nice opportunity to just sort of review what's happened in the day, and there's always going to be stuff. And I want to just bring in a player called Fabinho from Monaco. You might not know a lot about him. Born in Essex to Daryl and Karen. No, I'm only joking. He actually is Brazilian, but even made myself laugh there. So Fabinho is I said it a few weeks ago, so those who remember it will back me up on this. I did say when we were talking about players from Monaco and Di Marzio had linked us to Mbappe, and I said wouldn't be surprised me if we signed Mendy, and there was talk of Bernardo Silva who's now gone to City. I did say actually, if I could choose one player from Monaco, I think I would go with Fabinho because he absolutely suits to a T what we need in our squad at the moment. I mean, obviously, you'd probably, and I've got no fault with anybody saying Mbappe because he's a young lad, he's probably going to be one of the best players in the world, etc., etc., and that's not to be sniffed at. But sometimes you have to look at what's best for your team, and I think I look at Mbappe and I think, yeah, great player, but we've got Marcus Rashford, we've got Martial, we're going to sign Griezmann, we'll buy a winger, we've got people like Mata and Mkhitaryan. What we desperately, desperately need is somebody to help out Herrera, Pogba, and if we keep him Fellaini and Carrick in the midfield, we haven't got enough depth in there. And what we do need in that position, what we don't have, is that sort of Kante midfielder. Not, in Herrera you've got somebody who can play CDM but can also play box to box, and he's very creative. You've got Pogba who's box to box stroke attacking midfielder. You've got Carrick who's coming to the end of his career, he's got no legs but he's very good positionally. And you've got Fellaini who'll just put his arms about, he'll get stuck in, but he's not really got any ability in his feet and speed. So what we need is somebody who breaks up the play, gives it to the better players, is dynamic, tenacious. And Fabinho would be the player from Monaco I would take. I know a lot of you like Bakayoko, but I'm not convinced. I was back in February. I've watched a lot of him since then, especially in the Champions League and a few games in League One, and I'm just not as convinced. I prefer Fabinho. For those who don't know anything about Fabinho, you might be surprised because he doesn't. I don't think he'd be at the front of the queue for winning Mr. Brazil. He's not the best looking lad. Although on the money he's on and being a footballer, I'm sure he's got no shortage of suitors. But he is only just 23 years of age, and that is a real positive because you've got 10-year career ahead of him playing this position comfortably. He is also 6'2". He can play right back, and we were linked to him 2 years ago, slightly linked to him last summer, but it was Van Gaal who nearly got him 2 years ago as what would have been a 21-year-old, and he was playing predominantly as a right back then. But he's 6'2", and when he was playing as a right back, just to give you a little bit of everything that he does, when he was playing as a right back, the issues that people had with him was positionally he was very, very good, and he supported his centre backs very, very good, and he was good at getting forward, but his final ball wasn't that great. he can play centre-back, but he has been playing as a centre midfielder for Monaco. And I think he's absolutely perfect for what we need. Now, what I would say about Fabinho is, if we can do this deal, obviously I talked to a lot of people on Twitter, some people journalists, some people not. I was talking to Hesham, which I've mentioned him before today, and he's been told that Manchester United are seriously in for Fabinho, and I've got no reason to disagree with that. Well, also, when you add that into the fact that Di Marzio mentioned it a few weeks ago, and he's very good, and then there's a few other people mentioning it today. Look, Manchester City last week, I thought he was going there. Straight after the Silva deal, it was like Monaco, they're going to get Fabinho next. And that, Silva, good player, Bernardo Silva, but I didn't really see where we massively needed him. Fabinho is a player I like, and if Manchester City get him over us, I would have to sit back and say, look, personally, that's a player I would like Manchester United to sign. But it looks like we're in with a shout for getting him. I hope that we are. I really do like him. Mr. Fresh is on. I just must add this. Mr. Fresh has just said, I'd take Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez has come out today and said that he wants to leave Leicester. We were asked about this a year ago after he'd had a good season for Leicester. I just feel he's a bit of a flash-in-the-pan player, and he's not a top 4 player. I think people fall into a trap of good players and thinking that they are top 4 players. And, again, experience, which I mentioned before, because people think my experience quote was about I've got in-depth knowledge of how transfers work. I haven't. As a football fan of 3 decades, I've got experience of many transfer deals that I've seen as a fan like you, and you sort of see little themes. I think the Pogba and Griezmann deal is very similar at the moment, apart from the fact there's a release clause for Griezmann. But in relation to Riyad Mahrez, I would look back on my experience and say, look, there's been plenty of footballers like Mahrez over the years that are just not top 4 candidates. And I'd be surprised if we went for him. He doesn't strike me as a hard-working, tracking back player either. We've had a super chat here from Danish. Thank you very much. He says, Fabinho will not replace Herrera. He can play right back and centre back as well. And Herrera needs to be challenged after Carrick leaves, which Fabinho will do. It's a really good comment from that, Danish. Thank you for it. And thank you for the contribution as well. I've seen that a few times, and I'm glad he's made that comment. I've heard a few people saying we don't need Fabinho, we've got Herrera, and I think, have they missed something that was blatantly obvious last year? Look, we had Herrera last year. He was fantastic, player of the year. We also had Pogba, we had Fellaini, who had a couple of good games out of 40, and we had Carrick, who hardly couldn't play 2 games a week. That's our midfield, and Fosu Mensah, who's not ready yet. So 4, or if you had Fabinho, if you had Fosu Mensah in there, 5 midfielders, it's not enough. We've been playing with 3 midfielders a lot of the time. 5 is not enough. We need at least 6. So Fabinho coming in doesn't affect Herrera at all. It means you've got more options, and we definitely do need more options. So we need to sign a centre defensive midfielder. So I hope that answers that. Mertesack's sack says we need to sign players quickly. I don't think we do. I think we need to get our deals sort of done, but it doesn't matter how long they take to happen. I would imagine that we will. Tajay making me laugh, calling me Stephen. I like the in-joker. If you watched last night, I know exactly what he's on about. Too many United in the stands. Chant says hello everyone. SM says Ronaldo's coming home. I would be very, very surprised if that happens. And Singh says United can win EPL if they buy Bonucci, Chiellini, Bazzagelli and Dani Alves. Mark my words. All play for Juventus. Turn your volume up. I think my volume should be fine. Let me just double check. I don't want to... it's absolutely fine. That's okay. And what else we got? Well, Perisic. Let me just bring in Perisic here. I'm going to be a bit... There is structure. There are players I want to talk about, but interacting with the live comments might just deviate me a little bit away. Gabriel Malcotti is a journalist that some people may know about. He's got very good understanding of Serie A, and he has said Perisic is not coming to Manchester United. Now, I think that's a bit too firm, but I do think what he says actually makes some sense. So for those people who don't want Perisic, and I'm not one of those, I would be happy if we signed him. What he said is, look, Perisic to Manchester United or Chelsea is possible, and he said, I'm sure Manchester United and Chelsea are interested in him, but he's probably at best second, third choice. He will not be first choice, and he certainly won't be when Inter Milan are demanding 55 to 60 million sterling pounds, not euros, sterling pounds, which is spot on. I think we've all said that, look, anything over 35 million for Perisic is too much. I'll be very happy to sign him, but he's not a 50 million pound player. He is 28. That's not old, but you shouldn't be paying £50 million for a 28-year-old who has, to be honest, peaked at Inter Milan, Wolfsburg and Dortmund. He's not played for Barcelona or Real Madrid. And that's not to say he's not a great player, because you need those sort of players in your 11. Not everybody can be the Galactico. And I think he would be a good signing. But for those who are hoping we won't sign him, there's just a little bit of an update for you from Marcotti. Phil Jones, also, I put a tweet out before that Phil Jones has given his aspirations. Manchester United Twitter account have tweeted it out, what Phil Jones is hoping for next season. To be honest, I'll be blunt, I was hoping that he'd leave this summer, and if you can go to Burnley as part of the Michael Keane deal, even better. I don't want Phil Jones at Manchester United next year. I fail to see what he offers us anymore. And I know that's really blunt, but sometimes you've got to be honest. That's what United stands about. That's what all you are about. You can't just be totally positive all the time and not be honest about a negative. And Phil Jones, as I said, he could be... I'm trying to think of a really top-class centre-back that's around still now. But, you know, he could be Nemanja Vidic reincarnated. I'd still say sell him this summer, because this season was his record. 6 games in a row was his record at 4 years at Manchester United. Centre-back, especially centre-back partnerships, are built on longevity and playing together for a long time. That's what you build your team on. You can't build a team on a centre-back that just is not, you know, and he's not particularly that good. I mean, he's not bad. That's not where I'm getting at here. He's not a bad centre-back. I don't really think he's a top 4 centre-back anyway. But even, you know, it's not about ability. The fact that he can't play 3 or 4 games without getting injured, he's just got to go. And to be honest, he's a wage thief, isn't he? He's a wage thief. Not that we can't afford it, but I just don't see why we want to keep Phil Jones. And this, I think it's the 3rd summer in a row now that we've said this, and a lot of you have as well. He is injury prone, and he's not good enough to justify that injury prone. I mean, a lot of you were saying yesterday, I don't want Gareth Bale because he's injury prone. Gareth Bale's one of the best players in the world, and you're saying you don't want him because he's injury prone. So why are we keeping Phil Jones? I think it's a waste of time personally, but I don't know what you lot think about that. Cobb Ross Atkins has made a contribution. Thanks for the tenner, Cobb Ross. And remember the super chat options. 25% of it we are now going to be giving to charity, which will be the Macmillan charity. We're thinking about changing it each month. I think that's a really good idea that somebody said, because somebody said, oh, I'm not happy about Macmillan because of the admin fees and everything like that. So I think what we'll do is we'll each month announce how much goes to charity, and then we can maybe have a vote for what you want it to go. It's easy to do a poll. So thanks for that, Cobb. He says, Griezmann will bring the best out of Martial. People forget how crucial Ronaldinho was in Messi's development. Messi says it himself. Shielding him from pressure, encouraging, etc. All the things Jose isn't great at, which I think is very good. And Martial is very close to the likes of Pogba and people like that. So it will. People forget. I think Martial, because he looks quite stern and you know, he looks moody. And the reality is, he's just a young lad who's very shy. That if you actually research Martial and you listen to people, he's a very withdrawn lad. He needs an arm around his shoulder. I think Pogba tries to do that, especially when you see all the footage from training and around, you know, on the buses and stuff like that, and the photos. And I think, yeah, I'd agree. Griezmann's 26. It's a little bit more experience for Martial. Martial cannot be allowed to go. Cannot be allowed to go. I don't want him to go. He cannot be allowed to go. And how exciting it would be next year if we've got Griezmann, Rashford, Pogba, Martial, Lingard. No, I'm only joking about him. Mkhitaryan, Mata, and then we sign a number 9 as well. This is top talent. Top talent. Jake Holden, Griezmann is overrated. Look, you're speaking to the wrong person here. I've heard a couple of people, in fact, sent me private messages today saying Griezmann's overrated. You're going to see. I totally disagree. I think we're going to see in Griezmann one of the best players in the Premier League next year. You can never say never, by the way. Oh, this is a bit of a... It's not the cup I should be drinking from. If I want to keep my street cred. I've got a bit of a sore throat though, so it's nice warm Ribena. Not on the hard stuff tonight. But, yeah, so, yeah, look, I'm very happy with Griezmann coming to Manchester United. As I said before, if you heard me say it before, a few weeks ago, this is bigger than Pogba. I prefer Griezmann to Pogba. You know, we've all got our favourites. I absolutely love him, so it'd be great. Josh Simpson says Inter have had a bid rejected for James Rodriguez as he wants to join United. Well, that's going to be very interesting. I know a lot of you want James Rodriguez, and what I would say is if we sign James Rodriguez, I think we're going to have to print some t-shirts with United stand emblem, wand of a left foot, James Rodriguez, because I have been saying that for a long time, even though there are others. Danish has made another contribution, thank you. He says, Aubameyang has been linked with City, Liverpool, Barca, Real Madrid and PSG. Quite disappointed, really think he'd be the best striker money could buy. Look, I said it last night. Aubameyang, if he's moving and we're not in for him, it's inexcusable. He is exactly the number 9 that we need. I imagine Aubameyang up front, Griezmann in behind him, Pogba, Herrera, Fabinho, Martial, Mkhitaryan, Mata, all these players. In fact, you've just imagined my FIFA 17 career mode on Mark Goldbridge's channel. I've just inadvertently plugged it, but I have got Aubameyang up front with Griezmann in behind him. Sexy. But yeah, that's good. Let's talk about Danny Rose. I know a lot of people want to talk about Danny Rose. I did put a tweet out this morning saying, why are we linked with Danny Rose? He's not even, he's English and he's not even the best English left back. We've got the best English left back. Stick with Luke Shaw, Jose, I think he's great. And to be honest, the percentages between Manchester... you've got a lot of Spurs fans jumping. I always find it funny that Spurs fans defend Danny Rose when I'm saying we don't want to sign him. So they're defending Danny Rose, who's probably about to leave their small club to come to United. Madness, but I don't think they've interpreted that in their head yet. But no, I stand by the fact that Luke Shaw's better than Danny Rose. I totally agree with the fact that he has an injury. He has injury problems, and that is an issue. But they're not Phil Jones levels. Phil Jones has been like this for 4 or 5 years. Luke Shaw's next season is key. If he keeps on picking up the injuries, then obviously there's a decision to be made. But I would not be signing Danny Rose over Luke Shaw as our first choice left back, because Luke Shaw at his best is better than Danny Rose. And I think a lot of people think Danny Rose is 21 or something like that. He's not. I think he's coming up for I think he's coming up for about 20. I think he's 27 coming up for 28. He's a bit taller than people think. He is about 5. I think he's about 5'8", is he, or something like that, or 5'11". You'd have to tell me. But yeah, he's a decent player, but I don't see why. Contracted till 2021, probably going to cost 30 to 40 million pounds. We just don't need him. We don't need him. And if we're going to sign a left back, then Mendy's better, and he'll probably go to City. And look, I'm not going to lie. If City get Mendy, he's a good player. I will be honest. If people get players, and he is a good player, but I stand by Luke Shaw. And I stand by him for a couple of reasons. One, I know how good he is because I've seen it, and we have all seen it. We're just some of those people who don't like him are choosing to forget it. And two, you know what? The injury he had, his leg got snapped in too, and it was only just over a year ago. So of course he's going to have injuries when he comes back. Aaron Ramsey was exactly the same for the first 2 years after he came back from a leg snap, and it's in the head, but more it's in the body. It's all about your body getting used to balancing because you've overcompensated. You start to pick up little niggles. It's absolutely spot on and not unexpected. Next season's key. I want Luke Shaw to be given a chance. I think he's good enough, and I've got no issues with him. There was something I wanted to say. I knew I'd wrote it down. Danny Rose is actually 27 in July, and he is 5'9", so I wasn't far off. Can't remember everything, but let's go back to Griezmann because there's a lot of people on about that. But yeah, Phil Jones can go. I want Luke Shaw to stay. I don't want Danny Rose. Perisic, I'm quite happy if we sign, but maybe we're not going to. James Rodriguez, look, if we sign him, I think he's a bit of a luxury signing because I think we need more. There's more important positions. And we need a number 9. I hope we're in for Aubameyang. I do like Belotti. I've got to be honest. I really like Belotti. And I've seen Belotti quite a bit this season. And as I've said before, the only player I can really liken him to, because there hasn't really been anybody like him for a long time from Italy, is Gianluca Vialli. And I really realise a lot of you probably weren't even born when Vialli was playing, but 2-footed, strong, not super fast, but certainly not slow, can lead the line himself, and an absolute fox in the box. And Belotti, I think, would suit Manchester United very, very well. Just under 6 foot, so he's not small. He'd cost a lot of money. There's a release clause, I think, of about 80 million sterling, but I don't think we necessarily have to pay it. Apparently Arsenal and Chelsea want him, but I quite like him. We've got to sign a number 9. I'd like it to be Aubameyang because I think it'd be perfect. If it's not him, I'd like a Cardi or Belotti. If it's not them, I probably would go for someone like a Lukaku. And if it's not him, Morata. And I wouldn't really want to go moving out of any of them lot, to be honest. I'm certainly not interested in Cavani. I'm not a big fan of Cavani at all. And FIFA Quadri says we need Royce. He's very injury prone. Tyrone Williams says he only remembers Vialli at Chelsea. Zola was better. Yeah, Vialli was coming towards the end of his career then, to be honest. He wasn't the player, but a fantastic player he is. Daniel Steen says he'd love to see Aubameyang and Griezmann in the same team. I'd agree with that. And who would you take, Lukaku or Kane or Aubameyang, says Abdul. Easy, Aubameyang. And Tune Van Dijk says they're going for Renato Sanchez and Douglas Costa. I think everyone would be happy with both of those signings, wouldn't they? I believe it when I see it. And Griezmann don't turn up in the big games, says Mark Stevart. Look, I think a lot of people are judging Griezmann on the Euros, which France are managed by Didier Deschamps, who is a water carrier, as Cantona said. He's negative, and he doesn't get the best out of a very talented French side, I've got to be honest. In Atletico against Real Madrid, it's a mismatch. Real Madrid are a team full of stars who play creative attacking football. Atletico Madrid are a very good 11 that they play very defensive football. When you're an attacking player like Griezmann, that's difficult. I think, those people who are doubting Griezmann, you're going to see a very different Griezmann in a team that likes to play football. And Atletico Madrid, they are defence first. He's a fantastic signing. I can't see the negativity in the deal at all. Sparks Fly says, Mark, you lied about Mourinho saying there's a surprise signing. Why? I didn't lie. I didn't lie. It was all over the bloody press, so I didn't lie. I didn't start the lie. Anyway, there will be surprise signings because if you can name who we're going to sign this summer, you're a better man than everybody else. So you are going to get a surprise. And there will be a big surprise. I'm convinced of it. Don't want Lukaku, says Manic Day. Why not try and splash the cash for Lewandowski, American Red Devil? Thanks for that. Not that it was... I made that sound like it was a bad comment. Thanks for that. I'm off. No, thanks for bringing Bayern Munich into it. Because what I want to say about Bayern Munich is I'm convinced they'll sign Alexis Sanchez. And I think it's very interesting. Arsenal. Signing... on the day that Manchester United pretty much moved close to signing Griezmann, you've had Liverpool signing... a youth reject for Chelsea in Solanke, or whatever his name is. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but a youth reject for Chelsea. You've then got Arsenal giving a contract to a manager who's not won the title in well over a decade, who, perennial bottlers. They finished 5th and win an FA Cup, and they reward him with a 2-year contract. You know what happened to a manager that finished 5th and won the FA Cup at Manchester United? He was given the boot. His name was Van Gaal. So it's funny. Look, they've got no Champions League football. I think there's a big storm coming at Arsenal. And remember, Manchester United were linked to Mesut Ozil. And remember that Mourinho likes Mesut Ozil. Now, I don't want Mesut Ozil at Manchester United because he's too close to Mata and Mkhitaryan. You could argue he might be better. I would disagree because he goes missing in the big games and Mata doesn't. And I think Mkhitaryan's first season's been hard to judge. It's a make or break season for him next year. But Mesut Ozil hasn't got the pace. So I don't want Mesut Ozil, but he will leave, I think, Arsenal. Why would he stay at a team that's not got Champions League football and is never going to win the league? Alexis Sanchez certainly will leave. I think Alexis Sanchez will go to Bayern Munich, and I think it will be interesting because he's only got a year left on his contract, how much Bayern Munich have to play for Sanchez. I've heard Arsenal fans saying 60, 70 million. You're having a laugh. You're having an absolute laugh. He's got a year left on his contract. If you play hardball, he can wait till Christmas and go for free. He's not going to sign a new contract. So you're going to have... I think Sanchez could go for... They might get him for as low as 30, probably 40 million. But that's, like I said, that's a considerable amount of money for Bayern Munich. So I think players... Two things. Players will leave Bayern Munich this summer. Douglas Costa, obviously the winger. I wouldn't mind him. I'm not sure Renato Sanchez will go. Lewandowski as an outside bet, maybe. He's just a beast of a machine. I'd love him at Manchester United. But I don't think they'll get Sanchez and Griezmann. And I can't see anybody else pushing us for Griezmann anyway. But the closest probably would be Bayern Munich. So I just think Alexis Sanchez will go to Bayern Munich. I think that's exactly where he's going to go. And that will sort of hinder them getting anywhere near the Griezmann deal. And to be honest, Chelsea want to sign Griezmann. Chelsea want to give Diego Costa to Atletico Madrid because Costa wants to go either Spain or China. And they want Griezmann in return. But Griezmann doesn't want to go to Chelsea. He wants to come to Manchester United. So that is the card that Manchester United have with Griezmann. The family connection, that obviously his brother's a big fan, and I think Griezmann actually is a fan of Manchester United because Beckham's his idol. That's why he wears the number 7 shirt. We've got a free number 7 shirt. He can come to Manchester United, be our star signing of the summer. be our number one, really. All eyes will be on him. I'm really, really excited about it. What would he bring to the team? I just want to talk about that briefly. A lot of people think he'll play as number 9. I can't see it. I can't see him as a number 9. Although people like Aguero are good as strikers, Griezmann's not got that, for a small guy, Aguero's a bit like, Mike Tyson. He's got a good power on him. That's not really Griezmann's game. Griezmann is a floater. He'll float in and around the play, and as a number 9, having to run the line, hold the ball up, I can't see it. I would never say never, but I can't see it. For me, Griezmann, and I've said it for months now, is the replacement for Rooney. He's the man who comes in behind the striker. And what our problem this season has been so many times, and if you remember back to the start of the season, we spoke about it a hell of a lot. The number 10 position is the most important position in a Manchester United side, because you've got the defence who give the ball to the midfield, you've got the midfield who give the ball to the number 10, Pogba gives it to the number 10 and he bombs on and he wants it back, or the number 10 gets it, he feeds the wide men, or the number 10 gets it and he's looking for his number 9. Rooney against Watford at the start of the season in numerous games, poor control, poor passing, and the ball was breaking down and we weren't creating much. That number 10 position is so important to Manchester United, and it's a position we really never got to grips with last season. So Griezmann in as the number 10, receiving the ball, floating in and around. He's very clinical from outside and in the box. Absolutely perfect. That's why I'd play him. But he can go left. He can go right. And if you had Griezmann as your number 10, Mata on the right, Martial on the left, or even if you brought James Rodriguez in, or even if you played Mkhitaryan, those three could just cause mayhem because they can just change position so easily. And that's the modern game for you. You've got to be able to adapt. I think it's very exciting. But I would love to get, if we can get Griezmann and Fabinho in the next couple of weeks, that would be a very, very good start to our transfer window. And whatever comes after that, I'd be very happy with those two, because Fabinho is the centre defensive midfielder we need, but he can play right back and centre back, so we've got a little bit of a player like that is worth a lot. I know people talk about specialists, but a player who can play 3 positions very well is very important. And then Griezmann's the star signing that we want. And then after Fabinho and Griezmann, assuming we get them, if we were then to bring in, I don't know, a number 9 like Belotti, you get even more excited. If you bring a centre-back who's better than Michael Keane in, you get very excited. And that would be the 4 I'd be looking at. De Gea, obviously, if he goes, I still think we need to find a goalkeeper. I would not trust Romero as a goalkeeper in the Premier League playing 38 games a season. I think he was very much untested in the Europa League. I think he's a very good reserve goalkeeper, but he gives me nightmares on crosses. And that's... I just don't think he's good enough. There's something floating around about De Gea today about him saying to Real Madrid, sort of, come and get me now, or I'm signing a new deal at Manchester United. Well, I don't really like those sort of headlines, really. I want him to commit to Manchester United, as I'm sure we all do. But I still think he's going to go. I think a lot of people are saying that now. Obviously, I've been saying that for a long time. I don't want him to go. It creates a problem if he stays. But I just feel that he will go. Lots of people are watching. Please do drop a like on the video while we're live. We could hit 1,000 likes on the video, which is fantastic. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner is the hologram. Click and subscribe. Make sure you click the bell, because then you'll get notifications when we go live. We are a live content channel. 7 AM every morning throughout the summer with a transfer daily, and then 8:30 every night. We will be mixing it up. We've got different content to do at 8:30. Last night we had the Skype show where you called in. Thursday night is the Skype show again. Tonight is more of a transfer review because it's been a busy day. So we'll always have something to talk about, which will let you know what's going to go on. And obviously Saturday night at 8 o'clock, we're doing the Q&A now off live comments, Twitter and Snapchat. So there's loads going on, and we've got some longer form content that we've got coming up for you very soon, which I think you'll all like. But Shaka Phillips says, Mark, did you think Schneidlin was top 4 Premier League title winning material? And also, why do you think it didn't work out? I mean, look, you can't look back on flops and say, I always knew it wasn't going to go right. I knew David Moyes would flop. I knew Fellaini was a bad signing, and I said them both from the very start. When I look back, Darmian quite excited me. Schneidlin and Schweinsteiger really excited me. Schweinsteiger's just been one of my favourite midfielders of my, the last, most of my life watching football. So I loved Schweinsteiger. Didn't work out. It was a shame. Schneidlin, I was excited about it. I thought he did very well at Southampton, but he was a bit of an unknown. And I think if we signed a player like that again, I'd be like, you just never know which way it's going to go. I didn't expect Schneiderlin to be as bad as he was, but maybe there was reasons for that. Memphis, I predicted he'd win Player of the Year. So got that very, very wrong. But that just goes to show that people who are good in one league aren't necessarily going to be good in another. And I think a lot of us learned a lesson with Memphis, because I'd seen a lot of Memphis. I'd seen him play for the international side against Spain, and he was absolutely amazing. And I just thought, I'd never predicted Memphis was going to be as bad as he was. I thought, maybe he might just not be the world star we thought he was going to be. He might be sort of a bit of a Theo Walcott, but I never expected him to be an Obertan. I thought he was going to be quite good. So that one surprised me. But I don't put Griezmann in that category. Griezmann's been playing at the top level. He's 26. There's no reason why he wouldn't succeed. But everyone's a risk. And I think one thing we must say this summer is, look, if Mourinho signs 4 players and they are successful, then Mourinho deserves some sort of trophy for being the best manager in transfers ever, because I can categorically tell you that everybody from Sir Alex Ferguson to Neil Warnock, from Pep Guardiola to Pepe Mella, they've all guaranteed not had a 70% strike rate in relation to transfers. I would say out of every transfer, it's around 60% in relation to success. A lot of transfers flop. Bailly, Mkhitaryan, Zlatan, Pogba, none of those are flops. They've all been successful in their own way. The least successful one is Mkhitaryan, who won the Europa League with that goal. So they've all been successful. I'll be amazed if there's not a flop this season out of Mourinho's signings, because, like I say, 100% to maintain that again would be abnormal. But Griezmann, I think, would be a success. Fabinho, I think, will be a success. Perisic, if he signs him, I think he would be a success. Maybe Michael Keane won't be. I don't know. There's talk of Kasper Schmeichel. Maybe he'd be a flop. I don't know. But we are due a flop because he's been so successful, and long may that continue. Ranuk Dash has made a contribution. He says, Mark, I guess you did not see my previous super chat, but my question was, what do you think about Varela? Perfect replacement for ageing Valencia. Oh no, we had this last season. I mean, thanks for the comment, pal, and I will go back and see if we've missed any super chats. But I'm not a fan of Varela at all. Obviously, he played a little bit last season for us, and people thought he was the next best thing. I remember Alex from the United Stand saying that he really liked him, and I was like, no, not good enough. And he got absolutely took apart, didn't he, against Liverpool by, was it Coutinho? He's not Manchester United quality at all. No way. Never going to be Manchester United quality. He'd probably have a good career as a sort of mid-table European side, but he's not Manchester United quality. Same with the Anasai. Get rid of him. Not good enough. And I know people think that's a bit harsh, but it is what it is. But Pizza Next Door wants Varela back. Not good enough for me. Furian says that Alexis Sanchez wants to go to City and his agent wants him at Bayern. Look, Pep's just buying Bayern. Pep's buying the league. That's what he's trying to do. That's what he always does. He inherits good players and then he goes and spends a load of money. He doesn't nurture players. In fact, Pep Guardiola is about as good as nurturing youth talent as he is nurturing hair on his head. He's never going to do it. He just wants to buy success. He's a checkbook manager, and I've got no time for him. I call him Pep Guardiola. I don't think he's that good. I like the way he tries to play football, but it's anal. He's got no plan B. And I hate passing out from the back. It's ridiculous. You've heard it here first. Onyx D says Fabinho will be a flop. We've heard it there first. Would you take Muller, Mark, says Craig B? No, I wouldn't. I would have done under Van Gaal, because I think Van Gaal knows how to get the best out of Thomas Muller, but he's one of those players. He's not played for Bayern Munich as much this season either. He'd have to play as a number 10, because I don't think he's a number 9, but I don't think he's a great number 10 either. I think he gets a lot of goals in very good sides, but I don't think you could build a team around him, which is what Ancelotti hasn't done it. So I wouldn't take Muller. And knowing how much Bayern Munich wanted us to get him for when we offered for him under Van Gaal, we offered 80 million and they said no. So he cost a lot of money for what he is. Right. Thanks everybody for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. We've had 50 dislikes on this. I think we had 20 dislikes before we went live because It's one of those days where Liverpool and Arsenal and City have been put back in their box. They thought Bernardo Silva meant that they were the kings, Man City, but obviously Manchester United are moving through a few gears now. And the early bird catches the worm, not necessarily. I think City are trying to sprint ahead like a hare, but slowly, catchy hare. Liverpool have just signed a Chelsea reject, and Arsenal have just signed Arsene Wenger on a 2-year contract. So there's a lot of hate from the rivals today. Look, we like your banter, but please drop a like on our video. Support the United Stand. We can't do it without any of you. And let me just have a quick check on something before we wrap up, because sometimes things come in. Oh, just very quickly, Andres Herrera is apparently going to be given a chance in the pre-season touring the US tour, and Mourinho is going to assess whether he wants him part of the squad next year, which I think is a massive positive. And Kylian Mbappe has said that he is open to a move from Monaco. Don't be surprised if the player we're getting from Monaco is Mbappe and not what's his face? Fabinho, because that was something that it would be. Dimarzio said that Mbappe, Manchester United are obsessed by him, they love him, they want to sign him. And when Dimarzio says stuff, sometimes that's what happens. And in fact, a lot of the time. Ronaldo says, rumour is that the real reason Morata hasn't gone to AC Milan is because United had told Madrid they either want him or Bale for De Gea, says Ronaldo. Sturkaj. Well, look, there's loads going on. Donnarumma's not signing a new contract at AC Milan yet, and AC Milan are quite relaxed about it. Obviously, he's a goalkeeper. Minireola's his agent. Look, we could talk for another hour. Not going to. There's loads and loads we can talk about. But we're back tomorrow at 7 AM. We'll have more transfer news in relation to what's going on, and then we're back tomorrow night at 8:30. So get involved with the United Stand. Keep getting involved. Keep spreading the word. Like the video, subscribe, get involved, and like I say, Thursday night we're back with a Skype show, so it's your show again where you can Skype in. It's all about you and your opinion, so thanks everybody for what you've been saying, and yeah, I think it's a good day. There'll be a bad day again. Phil Jones will get given a new contract with Fellaini and Lingard, but you know, there'll be good days as well. I think today's quite a positive day. Without signing anybody, I think it's a positive day in relation to the sort of talent that we are linked to, and I think that Griezmann thing is a step closer now. So positivity for sure. I'll speak to you tomorrow at we've hit 1,000 likes, so massive thanks. I should applaud you all anyway. Fantastic, really enjoy it, and I know the community, if you are new, is fantastic on the live comments. I'm great to see you all getting involved. So thanks to all you lot. I'll be back at 7 AM tomorrow. Quite a good player I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Quite a good player. That's a bad line. A very good player I'm going to talk about tomorrow that we haven't mentioned before. So looking forward to that. I'll see you at 7 AM. Pick it up during the day if you can't catch it. And back tomorrow night at 8:30 as well. But thanks for watching. If you're not watching live, get commenting below. I know I've seen some good debates started as well. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Unless something happens later on tonight and we will go live. But hopefully we'll all get a bit of a rest tonight. And tomorrow's another day. Thanks for watching.